Dear Twin Flame souls out there, welcome to the Twin Flame Awakening podcast. And today we have an episode number 42. And I have some really good news that today I'm not alone here. And for me, it's been a journey in that terms that I never actually thought I would end up here in episode of 42, that I will connect with other twin flames out there. And so it's a more of an honor for me to connect this community and the souls and this journey and bring some information, enlightenment, whatever we want to call it, into this world. So today's episode has been a lot about, in that terms, I've always spoken highly about how important it is for you to become your higher self. What this twin flame journey helps you to become this higher self, and why is this so important? So instead of me talking about our guest today, I will let my guest to introduce herself. And so we're gonna go on from here. So just take your time and come listen to this beautiful journey, and also a little bit crazy journey as we know it. And so I give it over to our guest. So welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much. My name is Deanne Marie, and I am a twin flame just like all of you. And it's an honor for me to be here. So thank you very much for having me here today. I have been on the twin flame journey for about 6 years. My story is very similar to all of you, but my perspective on the journey is a little bit different. So I have been led to my purpose through the twin flame journey, which has led me to write a book, and it's called Magical Breadcrumbs, and it's all the signs and synchronicities that are surrounding us every day that we need to just take off all of the illusions that are surrounding us so that we can see that beauty and follow it to become our divine, whole, most perfect beings that we are. And so I hope to shed a little bit of light on all of you and help everyone believe in the magic of magical breadcrumbs. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. For me, it's more of an honor because, connecting with my soul family, connecting with others is just something so beautiful. And also the fact that we can bring in the information. But let's just dive into, I'm going to also say to the audience that today, I don't know what is coming out of here. So take one, open heart and open mind into this episode, and you will definitely learn a lot. I'm just going to say a few keywords. What you're going to learn about it is exactly how to become your higher self. Why do you meet your twin flame? And even if you are married, what can happen in your marriage? What it means for the women and also for your mission. And it doesn't mean that men cannot listen to this. I know I have a very good men audience as well. And also what I think we touched base in the previous episode, just right about what it means that you need to go step by step. It's not like you're sitting at home and waiting your twin to show up. What are these steps? And I think our guests can today share because your book is coming out. When is your book coming out?
It is. So we'll start pre-sales on October 15th, so just less than a month. And we will announce that to your community, hopefully, when that comes up. And then I hope to do the first shipments just after the beginning of November so that everybody can have them in hand. They'll make great Christmas gifts. The book is written so that whatever lens you look through, whether it's the twin flame lens or just an average person who's not aware of what's going on around us, it'll pique their curiosity too. So it's very easy to read, very lighthearted, and it's a mix between my personal experiences, my personal connections, and introductions to the topics.
Okay, so let's dive into. Let's start from the beginning. Let's start. How did it happen to you?
Okay, so back in 2014, I know that was, a little bit ago, but back in 2014, the universe started aligning for me to meet my twin flame. It probably happened before that, but that's when I can trace my magical breadcrumbs back to. My career that I had been doing for 20 years was about to come to an end, and I was starting a new journey. I had met someone through a parent organization that introduced me to the next doorway for the next professional opportunity that I started that year in 2014. And I thought life was great. I am married. I have two kids. I thought I had reached the height of what I had always worked for, right? Like, what society tells us is success. If you looked at my family, I had a beautiful family. We were healthy. We had nice cars and a nice house and all of those things that would tell you that we were succeeding, right? Um, and then one morning I got up for work thinking it was a normal day and put on my, business casual dress and sandals because it was hot here in May. And I drove a Forerunner back then, jumped in my Forerunner and drove down this dirt bumpy road that I was told to go to a meeting. Climbed up a hill about 5 feet tall of dirt on a dirt mound in this dirt lot. Yes, dressed completely inappropriately, right? And I opened the door to a trailer, to a construction trailer to start a new project. And this new portion of my career that I had no idea was coming, I wasn't qualified for it in any way. And I walked through this door so nervous, but my lipstick was good and I was sweating, but it was okay. And I walked through the door and I was greeted by an entire room of men, the only woman in the room. And like I said, completely dressed for an office job, not a construction site. And I met everyone that was in the room, and there was this one individual that we immediately connected eyes, shook hands, and it was that comfort, that moment of, this is going to be okay. I've got this. We're going to do this. We're going to get through this. And mind you, I never heard the word twin flame. I've always believed everything happens for a reason. My entire life, I believed that. But I had no indication that there was anything unusual here. But those sparks of excitement that I thought I couldn't shake them for days. Like I thought it was just this new project and exciting me and igniting me, continued to build within me. Every day that we worked together for nearly 2 years, we developed this amazing friendship and professional relationship that neither one of us could wait to get to work because of the things that we were literally building together. We didn't know. We didn't know back then. We didn't know. But when our project was just about to end, and it was about 2 years, our project was just about to end, and we knew that we wouldn't likely see each other again. We both kind of felt that it was time for something else to happen. Now, mind you, we are and were both married, committed to our spouses. We had talked about it. I knew everything about his wife, and he knows about my husband and my family. And we never thought that we would end up going down the path that we went down. But knowing that we were coming to the end of those days, he chose to kiss me, which ignited sparks beyond what is physical. And realizing, wow, what was that just happened? And then the knowing that it was coming to an end and that I was actually moving out of state, 1,200 miles away. So I knew that the chances that I would see him were slim to none. And let's just be honest, I wanted him more than anything that I've ever wanted in my entire life. And so I thought it was my ego. I thought it was just honestly sex. I thought it was going to be one time and get it out of my system and move on. And so we made that choice to cross that line. I invited him for lunch. Yeah, I had no idea, no plans of eating lunch that day, but it was within those first moments that our souls recognized that exactly what we were doing, and both of our worlds were shattered. Like, what on earth just happened? Because neither one of us thought that it was anything more than just that moment. But that's what led us on this journey. And then, that was only 2 years in, and I'm 6 years into the journey. So there's a lot more to tell, but does that at least get us started?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of questions already coming up, and especially we would touch base with the fact of, because I know many of my listeners are married or their twin is married. So here is exactly, I think you can obviously bring the light, but as we know, when you are married and your marriage is great. Every marriage has its own ups and downs and all of that. But when you are married and you're meeting your twin flame, how, I mean, what kind of feelings you had inside? Do you see that your marriage is still in the same love level? Like, let's go back to this when you
Mhm,
first met. Let's not go to the current moment. We go at the
mhm,
end of the podcast, but let's go back to this when you first met. You
mhm,
met your twin flame. You felt something you've never felt before. You never felt this with your husband, even though you had a great
mhm.
marriage and everything. What was going on in your head?
All of those limiting beliefs that come up, that you're married, you're not supposed to do that. It's a commitment, right? You're not supposed to desire another individual when you've made that commitment. Now, mind you, and so what year was that? That we're talking 2018 is when I made that choice. In 2018, my husband and I had been together for 28 years, a long time. So this was a long time relationship. Um, and a very honest relationship from the very first day that I met my twin flame, and the connection and the eyes and the feelings. I was very honest with my husband. Like, there's this guy and I just don't understand this. What is this? I mean, we sit in a meeting across the room from each other and there's just this energetic connection. And I didn't know the words to use back then. But it was a lot of control. I was controlling what I was feeling. I was trying to put it into a neat little box that this was professional, that this was just excitement because of the opportunity that I was given. So I was trying to dismiss it. I was trying to control it. I was trying to, I guess, pretend that it really wasn't as big as it was. I was trying to play it very small, but I always knew that something was starting to stir inside me. And what was starting to stir was the realization of all of the things, and I call them cracks, all of the cracks of things that I wasn't meeting my potential, and all of the cracks that I was accepting within my marriage and with my husband, that I deserved more. And so the light of my twin flame started to shine those things back at me. And I started to realize I deserve this. I deserve this, whatever this is, whatever's coming to me. It is not up to me to stop this. So I literally changed my mindset and was like, okay, I've always believed everything happened for a reason. Well, here's your biggest test of your lifetime, right? Go for it. Just let go and let it happen. And that's what I did.
Wow, that's so powerful. And I can also really agree with that because me, myself being married, and I've spoken to many women who are happily married. There's nothing wrong in their marriage, they get along. But I agree with you 100% that twin flames will show you the light. What do you actually deserve, who you actually are. And that's why I've also spoken highly about this raising your vibration, because that's what starts to happen to you. But you said such a right thing. When you control this inside of you, it's like, you're like a volcano that starts to want these things, but then you're controlling it, holding it back. It's like, no, 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 no. And control is also one part of, in my opinion, in twin flames, what happens a lot, because I was such a control freak before. Like, I had to have everything planned. I wasn't in a way of Virgo way planned, who likes to, but I was in that terms that I couldn't, like, if I wanted to go somewhere, I needed to make sure that we're gonna have a good time. Now I go and I'm just, what the universe gives me, I'm happy regardless.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to get to know about the fact that, because I mean, I like to go with the flow, so I'm going to ask the questions immediately. You were talking about the control, that you were like, you were holding it back to yourself. Once you
Mhm.
let go of this control and we come back to today, what did change in your life, in your overall like, what did you feel that, wow, now I'm here, what I'm supposed to do? Because control is one of the things that holds us back a lot.
I think control is what holds us all back. That's the biggest myth I think that we live under, that when we're controlling things that we're successful and we're powerful, but it's actually exactly the opposite. When you let go and let faith and destiny to lead you, that's when the amazing things happen. That's when the abundance comes in, and that's when your divine light attracts the light of the universe, right? And you meet and create that beautiful explosion. So I was in the process, as I mentioned, of moving out of state for an opportunity. I now know that that opportunity was to remove me from this environment and from the programming of living in a big city. I'd lived in a big city almost my entire life, and I was living under that control. And I moved to a tiny little town with less than 8,000 people. And I lived 2 blocks from the beach. And every day I walked that beach, not knowing. I didn't know I was spiritually awakening. I didn't know that it had to do with my twin flame journey. I didn't know that it was bringing me to the place that I am today. I just knew that being near that water put my body in this flow, literally in the flow, and it was helping me to cope with all of those letting go. The control that I was isolated 1,200 miles away, taken away from my twin flame and my family, I might add. Like, my other part of my family was still here. So it was learning how to let go of that. And it was also embracing all of the beautiful parts that I had been shown that they weren't quite reaching their potential. I mean, without even giving it any thought, I was like, I'm going back to school. I re-enrolled for my college degree that I had always wanted to do. My bachelor's in business administration, that's what I needed to do. I started cooking. Like, before that, that's not something that I did. My twin flame loves to do that. And he would tell me about the things that he would cook, and it ignited that within me. But going with the flow and just accepting what was coming at me was what allowed me to transition and transcend into who I am today and into following my mission.
Yeah, again, same. I mean, I know you listen to it. I have the same. I had no idea, and now it all makes sense. And that water, again, is a big way of grounding yourself, purifying yourself, having this. And here is something which I know that my listeners can be now like, oh, why to do that? Like, why to go away from your twin flame? Me, I did the same. I packed my stuff and I moved away. And I can say this is exactly where you get your power, actually, because you are not sitting in this place wondering, thinking why, when, how, what I supposed to do. So you are focusing everything outwards, where you have to go inside of you and seeing what is happening over there. So if you can also bring the light into this. Okay, actually, I have another question. So you were married, you decided you're going to go with the flow, whatever the universe will come up with that. But back then, how was your relationship with the family? Did you feel like disconnected from your family? Did you feel lost, or what was the more or less emotions inside of you?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I don't think I've ever addressed that before. I think that I was really starting to feel controlled. I was starting to feel all of the pressures of how I operated my day, that I realized that everything that I did throughout my day was led by something. So I was pleasing someone, or I was meeting an end goal, or I was living for everyone else and everything else that surrounded me. And so I started to realize, to pull that back to myself, that wait a minute. So why do I not matter? Why is it that I feel like making my husband happy, or my children happy, or my employer happy? Why is it that those things seem to matter more than what I want or what I need? But I had never looked at those in my entire life. I had always put other people first, and I didn't know any different. So for me, it was about control, and it was about feeling like those external forces were controlling what I was doing. And I got a little rebellious, I'll admit it. Like, I started to feel like, no, I don't have to do that. I'm going to do this for me. And I felt in the beginning that it was a little selfish. But the honest truth now, looking back, is that it's not selfish. When you're meeting your own needs and wants, you can serve everyone else much better than you could before. And so I was living under an illusion, just like everybody else.
Yeah. This is another thing I can, I think it's like a typical podcast thing when somebody talks. Yeah, I agree. But I totally agree. It's just one of the thing what we do. And I think it's also common in twin flames, even though I daily speak with twin flames, so I don't speak, but it's very, and maybe in women as well. I don't know, empaths, maybe I don't have the full data, so I cannot really rely on, but we tend to give out so much more than we know how to receive. And that will, if those who are married, what happens also here, that often you are in the marriage where you give, even though yes, your partner can give as well. It's just a matter that you don't know how to receive. So it's just like every time you receive, you want to give, you think feeling guilty that you
Mhm.
received something, which is, I mean, it's ridiculous somehow, but it's one of the things I've noticed a lot when I've spoken to women who are married and they happen to meet their twin flame, that all of a sudden they feel they deserve so much more, even though they have a happy marriage. It's just that they don't
Mhm.
even know how to receive. And that's where it pretty much, I think, starts. So another question I would have is that, so you were going on from there. When did you realize that you might be on a twin flame journey?
Well, like I said, the little bit of control thing, and I wasn't getting the messages, right? Back then, I didn't realize. I didn't, I mean, I can tell you, I never saw 1111. I never, any of those signs. I was so caught up in life and living this ego existence that I didn't even see the things that were happening around me. Looking back now, I'm like, wow, okay, you were really blind and you should have done this years ago. But I guess you got to start somewhere, right? And I'm not going to beat myself up over it because that was part of my journey. But um, I realized it. So in 2020, my family and I moved back to the city, and I was fully 100%, I would say, having an affair with my twin flame. I would spend every waking hour that I possibly could with him because that's where I wanted to be. That's where I felt me. I felt alive. I felt like I was doing something that was for the betterment. I couldn't understand it. I just knew that after being in that presence, that I would go home and I felt like I was a better wife. I was cooking dinner. I wanted to spend time together. I was focusing on my children. Like I felt like I was whole. Like that seeing that reflection had given me kind of what I needed. And that was basically the first half of 2020. And in August, I woke up one morning and I received a message, a download that I call them. I received a message and the message said, call a psychic. And I'm like, psychic? I'm going to call this. What is this? First off, what is this message I just got? I don't even understand this, right? And second, a psychic? Okay, I'll call a psychic. So I pulled it up and literally there was one around the corner from me and I felt resonance, right? So I was like, okay, I'm calling her. And I called her and she was on point with everything we talked about. Didn't tell her anything. She couldn't see me. And it was during COVID, mind you. So we were on the phone. She couldn't see me. She didn't know anything about me. And she was on point with everything that she said. And she said, tell me about, and I didn't even say anything. She said, tell me about this other man. And I said, okay. And I told her, and she said, he's not just another man. He's your twin flame. And I went, my twin, what? Like, what are you talking about? I never even heard the term before. Like, okay. And she was like, and there's a lot more, the reasoning behind, that relationship. But she also, and during that conversation, she told me, your husband's going to find out. So you need to make a decision. You have to make good choices what you're going to do, which hindsight, I'm like, okay, was that warning that he was going to find out? Was that like my future self giving me an indication? Like, I don't know, but I was so in it, upside down, deep in love, right? That I was willing to lose everything that I had for the feelings inside me. And it wasn't even necessarily about him. It was about who I was becoming. And so I continued on. Okay, if he's my twin flame, then let me try to understand what this connection is and go with that. So at that point, I think her telling me that, one, receiving the message very clearly that I was to call her was profound. but also for me, her telling me, validating for me that you're not being selfish. By her telling me that he was something more, that he was my twin flame, she was releasing me. That was a release within me to realize that this is something bigger going on here. And all of these times that I'm trying to stop controlling it, I need to stop controlling it. And so I think at that point, I was even more so in it. Like, okay, I'm on this journey. Let's do this.
All right. Okay. And then you came to know. Okay. Actually, I have a question in that terms that. So now you are on this twin flame journey. You know you are on this twin flame journey. You feel alive all of a sudden. But did something also started to happen in your life that like started to fall apart or things started to change, or how was that, or was that in prior actually not before you answering this, answer me that
Okay.
about the science. So I know that your book is touching a lot of these topics, so let's talk about the signs in that terms, how to read them and how to understand them and what didn't you see. So now you have both worlds. Before you didn't see anything, you didn't understand, and now you have a world where you can understand and read the signs. So how did it started to make sense to you?
I think when I started receiving those messages, I started realizing, wait a minute, I just had to listen and there was something here. So, wait a minute, I've always believed everything happens for a reason. So, let me just take a look around here and see what else I can see. And being on the twin flame journey, you start to see through a different set of eyes. My twin flame and I joke about the fact that we call them magic eyes because they really blind everything that don't matter. Everything within this ego existence is blinded, and you begin to see through your soul. And so starting to see those little things are what lead me on my journey. And we'll talk later, but I have basically learned to go with the flow and to watch the mirror, because our twin flames are also called our mirror souls, right? So I have learned to see that mirror and use the guidance of the universe to direct me towards whatever that next step is that I'm supposed to take. So even back then in 2020, I knew that I had to call the psychic, right? Because I was specifically told. That was, I didn't have to read any signs anywhere. I just had to listen and do as I was told. But I didn't start to see like the angel numbers. I didn't know about that. The psychic is the one that told me about my guides and opened my eyes to that thing, to that connection and that thing, that greater surrounding of what was around me. But I still was not, the signs still were not there. I was so in flow that I was just going with the clear cognizance of this is what you have to do. Okay. So I, clairaudiently, I heard to call the psychic and I did. But then as far as before that, like enrolling in college and starting to do the cooking and all of those things, I just knew that that was the next piece of what I needed to do. I didn't receive my first sign that I would actually say that I saw a visual repeating number, an angel number, until right after my husband discovered that or confronted me about the twin flame journey. And that's the first time that I saw 1111. And I was like, powerful. I was like, okay, why did I just see this? And that's when I started really looking into the numbers like, oh, wow. Okay, these are surrounding me. And now I see them everywhere. So it took a while, though. I think I'm a little, thick-headed, but
I think we all are. And I think what happens is that we all see them somehow, but we are kind of like, I kind of get the message, but then you just try to suppress it. Like your control comes in where you're like, it doesn't make sense. Just let's keep moving forward. But for you was also right now, I could see that when, let's say, your husband comforted you, immediately the universe was out there to give you, we have your back. We have your backs. Just relax. We have your back. That's why these signs, for my opinion, are the guides, like the guidebook in that terms that when you question if you are on this journey, just ask for it and you get the sign immediately of realizing, yes, you are. And also the voice in your head that keeps on
Hmm.
telling you, you have to go there, you have to do this, you have to. So
Hmm.
these, I know it sounds crazy. I mean, it's something, sometimes I'm like, can this voice little bit like slow down or something? Because it's like a lot. But somehow I wouldn't change it to anything. Like, I mean, I can have a call today with you here. Like, we don't know each other. We had, I mean, and we have this opportunity. So I'm more than thankful for this crazy universe, this crazy voice that says, you
Hmm.
have to do this. This is your next step. Just by the way, we should say that when we confirmed that we are going to have a call together, it was
Hmm.
just we both confirmed, and I looked down on my phone and I received a message from my twin, and I looked it up to you, and you just said that you received, and I was like, how? How? Explain me how? Like, we live different time zones, we live different places. Like, if we want to be very skeptical, we could be, but at the
Yeah.
same time,
No.
I don't really know. Uh, so let's go. So you were discovering the signs now. You're realizing that there is more out there than just the
Hmm.
normal world. I would ask actually how it has changed you today of functioning things in the terms that, do you feel that things are coming to you more easily? You understanding, okay, this is something, this is a new challenge, this is a new chapter I have to take on, and you trust the whole process? Or how do you feel overall?
I think I've trusted the process since before I realized I trusted the process. That soul, I call it a soul imprint, of believing that everything happens for a reason and that everything leads to what's to meant to be. Like those are two things that I know my soul came into this life knowing. And so even though I kind of always thought it, but I was trying to control it, now when something comes up, I immediately just go with it. Like when I received your email, like, hey, would you like to chat or whatever? No question whatsoever. I mean, in my book, I talk about the importance of the people that we're meeting on this journey, the emotions that they're raising, right? And that those are actually keys to this whole experience. I mean, we're twin flames. We are, I mean, a lot of people will say, but we are really the chosen ones, and we have a bigger purpose here. So I don't think it's a matter of choosing whether or not you follow the signs, like you up and moving to a new place. When you are given that directive and you understand that you have a much bigger purpose in this life, you just follow it. So if I see a sign, perfect example. The time came when when my twin flame and I came into a point when we needed to separate. He is very, very heavily ego weighted. He is a Virgo, just so you know. He is very organized, controlled, structured, routine. Like that is all him, okay? I'm a Pisces. I'm going to go with the flow. I'm a water, right? So that's very interesting to begin with. Where was I going with that?
That when you were going into separation, so he is in the ego.
Yes. Yes. So when we went into, or we needed to go into separation, I was seeing the signs, right? I was seeing all the signs that it was time for me to focus inward. It was time for me to focus on me. But I was very much in love. I was very much connected, and I really understanding how much of a Virgo he is, because he is Virgo through and through. Understanding that I didn't want to abandon him because I knew it was going to trigger all those emotions, right? And I'm already going through this, and I know what torture this is and how difficult this is. And I guess I was trying to protect him in a way. And so I was holding on, and I received a message, and the message said, if you believe like you say you do, let him go. Let the universe, let us do this. Okay. Okay. So I let go, right? Let go. And he went on his way and I went on my way. Now, I'm not going to say that we didn't occasionally send a text because that did, but very, very isolated incidents and very detached, if I could use that word. Just kind of like a, okay, you're still there, almost like a security blanket. Like, okay, that was real. Yeah, okay, I'm good, right? And then we would go off on our way. But the universe had to do that because he had to see all of those things that I had already gone through, that fear, that rejection, that abandonment, all of that. He had to see that. And we kind of skipped over a little bit of my journey there that led me to that part, but he had to see all of that. And now that he's seen that, the universe, and this was probably April of this year, so this is fairly recent. The universe said it's time to go back. It's time for you to go back. You need to see him, and you need to get that next chapter, right? And at that point, I was back in my ego a little bit. My ego was like, no, 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 happy. Home life is happy. We're harmonious. Like, I'm not gonna rock this boat right now. Like, I need to do this. And every day I would get woken up by my guides. You need to go back. You need to go back. And all the signs? I'm hearing his name everywhere I go. He starts texting me. The numbers, the 1111 start showing up. Like, no, all the signs are here. And so about, I don't know, the third day in or so, I was up at 2 a.m. like I do when I have stuff brewing. And my husband came in and he goes, "What is up with you? Like, what is happening?" And I said, "Do you really want to know?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "I have to go back. I have to go see him. I have to be with him. I don't know why, but I know that this is what I'm being led to do." And my husband, he's such a beautiful soul. He was like, "I don't like it, but I understand that this is bigger for you and that there's a bigger purpose." And he feels we're definitely soulmates, 100%. But he definitely feels that his purpose in this life is to support me. And so he doesn't like it, and his ego fights it all the time. But he's learning to understand that this connection is way bigger than you or me or anything in this lifetime. And so he supported me in doing that. It's difficult. I'm not going to say this is easy. This is something that causes that little bit of turmoil. But listening to those messages and those signs, as soon as I did that, as soon as I said, "Okay, let's get together and meet," it all smooths back out. Like the universe is then sending me 222. Like, "Okay, good job. Let me throw you this breadcrumb. Okay, keep going." And so you just have to follow those signs.
Yeah. And this is something, I mean, I've made mistakes over here as well. Here is why I kind of say, if you hear inside of you, or you keep on seeing the signs that you need to reach out or something is happening, then you have to do it. It's not someone else who will confirm that to you. You will already have this information inside of you. Of course, it's good to talk to someone about it and say, "I'm listening, I'm feeling this," because sometimes we need clarity, because these messages are fighting with our normal mind and with the energetic mind, or whatever we want to call it, I don't know. And so it can get confusing. But that's why I disagree with all kinds of, how do I say, exact methods to follow, because for me it's like you have to go within. There is this answer immediately. I had once a client who had previous guides or somebody who kept on telling to him, "No, no, no, you need to detox, you need to detox, you need to detox. This is not okay. This is not okay. Stay away from her, stay away from her." And the guy comes on me and I'm feeling his energy and I'm like, "Listen, you have to reach out to her now, because it's, don't you feel that?" And he says, "I'm feeling it." And I'm like, "Well, then you have to." So I understand that we're trying to get the answers from others, but at the same time, the answer is here. It's in your heart. It comes from here, and you have to follow it. So what happened then? He had his ego death, or how did he come to the also awakening in that part, or he's still going on?
So are we talking about my twin flame?
Yes, yes.
Because I think that there is awakening happening with my twin flame and with my husband. I don't think either one of them realize this yet. But I see and I feel shifts of energy changing within them. So my twin flame reached back out to me and said, "Have lunch with me, like meet up with me." Okay. And had already seen the signs, right? Like I knew that this is where we were going. And so we met up, and it was literally like it had been, there is this time gap. Like time does not exist between the souls. I'm sure we can all agree with that. But there are periods of time within this relationship between my twin and I that we are separated, whether it be by 1,200 miles or by across town because, we have other soul stuff that needs to go on. But as soon as we get back together, it's as if we never parted. That all of that just falls into a black hole, and we pick up right where we left off. And that's very comforting for me to know that no matter what happens, that at the end of the day, my ego feels like it's still there, right? I guess that's just a little bit of the control that I have, but I feel like that's in my back pocket. Like, you can't lose that. And when you realize that your twin, whether it's our text simultaneously, right, when we were scheduling this, or calling me to meet, we are one. The oneness has nothing to do with us physically. We're already together, and it's inside of us. And so it's learning how to balance those things and understanding that time and distance are completely an illusion. An illusion, just like our egos are putting these illusions around us, right? Of don't believe it, don't believe it. It's that purity that you just have to look for. So when we met, everything was great. After we left, he flipped out, and I started getting all these texts like he was emotionally triggered because he thought that the chemistry should have been a little bit greater between us. That sexual desire, like he was looking for the validation through that. Maybe I was trying to control it a little bit. I think the universe was saying right now, this is what you need to see, because as soon as he saw that was how he was supposed to feel, he ran again. Because then he was like, she rejected me. Like she wanted to see me. She met with me, and then she didn't want me in that way. When in fact, that had nothing to do with it. We didn't even talk about it until after, and those feelings arose for him. So I think that he started to realize that. So that was a big moment for him. And then we did it again. And a few weeks later we had, okay, let's meet up, which I'm very proud of him for fighting his ego, right? So we met up again, and that chemistry was there. And so he was able to see that I don't need to control this. I don't need to worry that it's there. It's going to be there forever. And so he started to have that, which then brought him to the place of, when we separated again, right? It brought him to the place of, I've never been happier than when I was in this relationship with you. I was able to be myself. I felt alive. And so he's starting to realize all of those things where he's accepted a little bit less in his life and what he wants. And so then that led to the next meeting where he said to me, I don't know what we need to do, but I need you in my life. I don't know what that means, and I don't know what that looks like. I mean, we're married and all of this, but I need you in my life. And we made this agreement that, yeah, we have something special, and that doesn't mean that we're going to be in union in the physical, right? But it means that it's a commitment, that we understand that there's something bigger going on here. And at that meeting, he said, I was skeptical about the whole twin flame things, because I told him that. And I know you don't agree with telling twin flames that, but because of his Virgo tendencies, I felt that it was in the best interest to keep him from going down a self-destructive path. That I know that he had done some self-destructive behaviors in the past. And I kind of used that as I don't want you to think you're crazy. I want you to know that there's something greater here. And so I used that as a tool to do that. And he thought I was crazy. And you know what? I don't really care. I am crazy. And I always say to all twin flames that I meet, embrace your beautiful crazy. Okay? Like, we are all beautiful crazy. Just embrace it. So to answer that, I think that he is on the verge, that he's really starting to see that. I don't know when it'll be. My twin flame is actually 15 years older than I am, just for there's always some great difference between twin flames. So will we see it in this lifetime? I don't know, but every day is a new exciting beginning. So I'm on board.
Love that. Love that. I actually, the reason actually, if you said that I don't, I disagree on when it comes to say to twin flames. One of the reasons is that I know that when people or the other souls, they are in the stage where they are in their ego death and they feeling like they need their twin flame. It's this needy energy, which we're going to go into the energies now. Uh, and then they're trying to tell to their twin flame that, oh, listen, you're my twin flame, for the fact that the twin flame would come back to them. But that will freak them even more out, because this twin flame is like, what is this madness? Like,
Yeah.
why? So I agree, when you feel the time is right and the place is right and you are in the state of Zen, in that terms that you don't
Hmm.
care what comes afterwards, that you really don't care if your twin comes back or you're going to have relationship or no relationship. You just want to say it out. Listen, we are twin flames. I know it can freak you out, but that's how it is. And you just let it out. That's
Hmm.
different. But when it comes to this, I need you, and then now I'm gonna tell you because that will bring you back to me.
Hmm.
It will not happen, because it's this energy is there, this neediness. But
Hmm.
I would like you to tell us, because you were talking about it briefly prior, about the emotions and this all of, when you were going through the things. I believe in your book you talk about this also a lot, how to release these energies of these emotions that are coming up from looking. So do you want to give some guidance, or do you want to give some example what happened to you, how to start this process that you realizing that it's inside of you what you have to fix?
Well, I think it all comes back to the word emotions, right? We've been taught all of our lives. Here we go again with the beliefs, right? We've been taught to suppress those emotions unless they're positive. If they're love, then by all means, love and happiness, feel free to spread it. But if it's anything other than that, we've pretty much all been taught to suppress that. And so by realizing that everything is energy. Everything surrounding us is energy. Our bodies are energy. Our connections with everyone is energy, but especially with our twin flames, that it's energy. And so by learning how your actions and reactions impact that energy and really just accepting it from your twin flame and processing it. So if you trigger me, if you upset me or make me feel as if I'm not worthy, it's feeling that. Why do I feel like this? Why do I all of a sudden feel like I'm not worthy of this greatest love story of my life? Okay, well, that's because of all of these beliefs that I have inadvertently latched onto throughout my life that told me that that only happens in Hollywood and Disney movies, right? No, 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 no. It doesn't matter that I'm not perfect because I am divinely perfect. I am the way that I was intended to be created. And so it's a matter of taking that energy and accepting it, embracing it, loving it, even if it's ugly energy, even if it's showing you something that you don't want to see. It's understanding that there's purpose in this, and I am never a victim. I am to accept this energy and look at what is it showing me and where do I let this go? And do I hold on to this? I never hold on to it. It's for a moment. It's to learn from and grow from and let it go. And when you do that, more will even flow through. So if you have those moments of love and happiness, right? And that's what we all want. We all want an abundance of love and happiness. So instead of trying to hoard it like it was this great thing, be appreciative, show gratitude. Wow, I got to experience that. And then before you know it, here comes another opportunity to show you that same thing. And it may not even be with your twin flame. It can be from your spouse, or it can be from your children, or it can be from someone from work. It's coming in from all different angles at that time. So it's just understanding. Just take the brain out of it, right? The ego mind that's trying to process it all, and understand that everything has purpose. There is a meaning behind everything, to see the energy and the intention in it. And what does this mean for me? Just honestly, just look at it. And what can this do for me? How is this going to raise my vibration? How is this going to help me to shine that light to go a little bit higher where I need to be?
And so in a way of, what do you see, how is this twin flame connection, what do you see this as today? Let's ask two ways. How did you see this in the beginning when you realized that out, and how do you see this today?
Oh, I thought it was the love story. I thought it was, yeah, it's your perfect partner. Suddenly it was like, I don't want to be married to him. I want my twin flame. I want to be married. I want that life. I want that Hollywood story, right? I want that ego existence. I thought that it was all ego based. But now I know that's the furthest thing from it. And it is far more pure than anything that could ever be ego based. It's I think those in the beginning when we're in the bubble phase, right? When we're in that love story, and it's the greatest thing because we're being mirrored back all of our hopes and desires and dreams and everything we've ever wanted is looking right at us, right? And so of course we want that. But then you realize I'm the one showing that. I'm shining that into this individual and he's just mirroring it back to me. And I know I talk about he and she because my twin flame and I are male and female, but whether you are bisexual or it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. It crosses all of those lines of your ethnicity and your nationality and your age and all of that. It's we need to make sure that we understand that it always mirrors itself back to you. And so now I realize my twin flame is me. He wants everything that I do. I know that he does. And I'm sending him all my love all the time. And he's sending that right back to me. So I don't have to be in unity physically, whereas I thought in the beginning that it was about this physical union, right? Because the ego thinks tangible. Now I realize I'm already in union, that it's an inner union, and maybe we will get together in this lifetime and maybe we won't, but that's not what this story is about. This story is about our journey. We are the chosen ones. We are twin flames. We have a light within us that needs to be exposed. All of those beliefs have to be shed from us and all of those limiting restrictions so that our light can shine a little bit brighter. And then that twin flames light ignites with our light and it becomes even brighter. I also happen to believe that it's about all of us twin flames, not just our twin flame, but it's about every twin flame that's currently on the planet, right? That we all unite our love together to shine into the darkness, right? We don't have to fight the darkness. We just have to shine our lights. And so I see it very differently. I see myself as whole now, even though it's not the picture, the fairy tale. I didn't get in a, buggy and I don't have a glass slipper on my foot. But it's still the love story, but really it's a love story of coming into union internally and into purpose.
Very well said. Very well said. Perfect way of putting it. Let's go to your book a little bit because you call it as a magical breadcrumbs. And I would just like you to say why you're calling it magical breadcrumbs.
Well, when I was a little girl, my mom told me the story of Hansel and Gretel. Everybody's probably heard that story, right? Where little Hansel, he gets led deep into the woods with his sister and they're going to abandon him, right? Like they don't want the kids, they're going to leave them. And he uses little morsels of bread in his pocket and he drops the breadcrumbs to find their way home in the morning. Well, it clicked for me during this journey that, hello, if he could follow them back to the house where he came from, then why can't you follow magical breadcrumbs forward to where you're being led to? And so I kind of connected the thought of breadcrumbs and I was like, they're magical breadcrumbs. The title came to me in a download when I was asleep that I would write a book and that it would be called Magical Breadcrumbs. And as soon as I woke up, I literally picked up my phone to check social media or whatever, just to see if anybody had called. And on my social media page was the publisher. And I had never looked up anything about writing a book. It was the publisher that I'm working with. And I didn't doubt it for a second. By that point, this was January of 2021. And I saw the sign and I was like, there's my publisher and I'm writing a book. And I literally started writing the book. I didn't know what the book was going to be about. I thought, is it going to be about loving two men? Is it going to be about meeting my twin flame? What is it going to be about? I don't know. And the book that I started writing is not the book that I ended up writing, which is why I say it took a little longer than I had thought that it would take. But during the process of writing the book, it became apparent to me what the messages are that need to get out. through guidance, I know that this book is about all of the women caught in the middle. And when I say women, I take that as feminine energy, right? So not necessarily a woman. It could be a man holding that feminine energy, but it's about those beliefs, and it's about releasing them so that you can be that pure soul that you are. Your light begins to shine, and you begin to understand all of those beliefs that have made you who you are, that take you the furthest from the truth. And that's societal, and that's cultural, and that's business beliefs, and that's religious beliefs. I mean, that's a huge one. 80% of people follow some kind of a religion, right? They claim that they're in this religion. I was never religious. My great grandfather, or my grandfather actually, was a Southern Baptist minister. I grew up in a household where we sometimes, prayed before dinner, and sometimes we went to church, but it wasn't necessarily part of my upbringing. But I didn't resonate with the whole buying into a religion, the putting money into an offering plate, the committing yourself on Sunday mornings to going there. I didn't necessarily believe that that was how I had to worship. And now all of a sudden, here I am on this journey, and I'm receiving words of guidance. And a lot of those words of guidance are in the versions of scripture from the Bible. Okay, I don't need any more proof that both exist, right? That I can believe, I can be spiritually believing, and that the Bible, that there is some foundation to that. But life is about the beliefs that were held within. So my message to all of the readers is, look at this information that I've written through the lens of where you are. Yes, it talks about my twin flame journey, because that was the catalyst of this awakening. But it really talks about understanding that every decision that you make throughout the day and everything that you do has been conditioned by some kind of belief. So the question is, do you want to hold those beliefs? If you analyze them and you look at them and you say, yes, 100%, I'm a Catholic, all in, I'm going to go and I'm going to go to Mass and I'm going to do all that, more power to you. That's your faith. But you have to find your faith in that base and shed those illusions of those beliefs for you to truly embrace the soul and the beauty of this journey. So the book talks about the connections and the things that Source has given us when we were created, that we have divine gifts within each of us that really need to lead what we're doing. And one of those being excitement. I mean, how many of us met our twin flames and felt that excitement, right? I talk about when I went onto the job site. It was that excitement every day that was leading me. So that was a magical breadcrumb pulling me where I needed to go. Is that resonance? Is that feeling like, wait, there's some truth here, like I need to follow that? Is it a gut feeling, just a deep inner knowing? Or is it passion? One of the greatest things that I am thankful for the whole journey is that my twin ignited what was missing in my life, my entire life, which is passion. Passion for everything. The word passion, the meaning of passion is what turns it in from just, okay, mediocre, just going through life, to mind-blowing, over the top, and I'm sure hopefully we'll have the opportunity to talk about the whole sex thing in a future podcast. That's the difference, that inner ignition of the passion. And so no matter what lens you look at from your perspective, if you are someone who is completely ingrained in day-to-day life and you read the book, you're a woman, but you feel like there's this little nudging, like there's something else greater, and you read the book, you'll be like, well, I really need to think about that, right? It's that lens, that open mind, that open heart, and that lens, that maybe I need to really look here. And it's that reality of looking at your beliefs and what's underlying in there, and starting to follow those signs. And so the hopes of the entire book is that readers will look at it and be like, wow, was that a magical breadcrumb? Like when they start thinking, and the key to a magical breadcrumb is, if you think, is that a magical breadcrumb? It's a magical breadcrumb. Just because you had the thought made the connection. And so that's it. It's magical.
Wow, that's something definitely I mean, interesting. I mean, it's a guide for getting, how do I say, getting to maybe to understand how to take the step by step into this crazy experience, but a beautiful experience at the same time. There is this beautiful outcome, but I know that many of mine who are listening, and I know they see, I mean, if those who are seeing the video version, which will be up on Patreon, you see us smiling, being happy, being content, being in our own element.
Yeah.
I mean, you get there, but that's what I think your book is very essential. And I think your guides were absolutely right that we need to understand these little, yeah, breadcrumbs, we can call them, whichever way that these are the clues. These are the ones that are leading you to the place where it becomes one. You become one with yourself, but there is a process with it. So how do you see, okay, let's talk a little bit about the book in that terms that your book is written in which form?
I don't understand the question.
Like, is it like a guidance? Is it like a storytelling? Is it
Okay,
fictional? What is
gotcha.
the yeah.
Okay, so it's a nonfiction book. It is done with a brief introductory of whatever the topic is. So, whether it's about change or going with the flow or connections, those profound connections that we have, it's a brief introduction to it. And then I've included a personal connection to it. So, something that has happened in my life that will give the reader an opportunity to see, oh, that's what that looks like, and help them to really kind of perceive in their own minds of, oh, well, that's what that was for me. Whether it's talking about a karmic relationship or a soulmate or a twin flame or a going with the flow or a change, all of those types of things, it helps them to see. And then it's followed up with a third section that is a reflection section that asks questions about your journey. So the reader's journey. How do you, I just told you that hidden within the most crazy story of my life, right? The biggest love story is the fact that you meet one person and it changes everything. So what is one person that you've met in your journey that you can say changed everything for you? Now, if we're twin flames, that's pretty much a given that we're all going to write about our twin flame, right? But those people that have no idea about a twin flame, they've never heard of one, they may be writing about the false twin flame, the one that got them incarcerated, or the one that led them down that toxic path, that made them, make those bad decisions. So it's just realizing that those connections are what are really changing. So it's written in that format to really engage the reader and to help them see that these were all magical breadcrumbs. The whole purpose of magical breadcrumbs is to reveal your destiny, right? I believe that we all came into this life. It's kind of simplistic in my life, but I kind of believe that we all have a destiny. And if you look at it like the GPS, I don't know, the Google or the MapQuest or whatever, that you're getting there. Some people follow those magical breadcrumbs and go straight there. Yeah, not most of us. Most of us take all these turns and take these lessons and make these wrong turns to get to there, but we're still going to be led to whatever our destiny is. And so by helping the reader to understand that you are being led, those breadcrumbs are being thrown. And if you turn around, you can see that trail that led you to where you are, but you're going to see emptiness before you, right? So just look down and look around and watch for that next magical breadcrumb to be dropped, because you are headed toward this ultimate destiny up here.
Yeah, and here is just another thing I would like to bring in because many of us are wondering, like, when my flame will start to wake up, and they try to. You were talking about that before, that trying to, how do I say, control that they will not experience this really, I mean, the painful ego death and all of that. That's what we are trying to avoid for them because we've been through it. And again, I'm saying here this that without going through the process, getting there is impossible because you will not open up to, like, you don't experience something that will make you to, like the ego death for me was the one that actually helped me to realize that it is a twin flame journey, because until then I was avoiding it. Even though I was watching the videos, I was trying
Mhm.
to make sense to myself, I didn't want to believe it. I said, this is some madness. This human being is going to go out of my mind. One point, I mean, how long? Maybe, okay, 6 months. Well, apparently this will never happen. So that's something we need to make peace as well with. I have just in a way of how do you see, in a way, of the twin flames, let's say, like I said, I would say that many of us are often focusing, and here is something I just often focusing on how to change their twin flame or how to be for the twin flame. What is your opinion about that in terms of why not to focus on your twin flame and focus on yourself? Or what is the magic over here?
Ooh. I feel like a broken record. I feel like I keep saying it's about these beliefs, but honestly, it's about realizing that it's about you. It's about your journey. It's about becoming the best version of you that you can. And so it's about turning it inward and realizing the impact that it's having on you. I had to let him go. Now, would I have done that if the universe had not told me to do that? I don't know that I would have, because I was trying to protect him, right? I had already gone through my dark night of the soul, which I'm sure we'll talk about at a later time, but I had already gone through that. And I knew how heart-wrenching it was to me when my world crashed down. My husband confronted me and my twin ran from me. I knew what that did to me. And so I didn't want that to happen to him. But here's the universe telling me, you have to step aside, have faith. We know what we're doing, right? Like, you don't need to be in control. We've got this. And so again, it's about the breadcrumbs. It's about letting go of control. That's the whole process in this. And showing yourself grace, that we are not the same people that we were before we met our twins. That person, you have to grieve who you were. I don't know about you, but when I look at pictures of myself in the past, I don't hardly recognize myself. I never took a picture of myself that I liked. I mean, that was to me like I always saw all my imperfections and I saw all of the flaws. But going through the journey, I realized that I'm perfect just the way that I am. And that doesn't mean that everybody's going to accept me, of course, because of our light shining, right? Like some people are going to be like, you're too bright, like dim that stuff. But even on the back cover of my book, I am full size on the back cover of my book, because that's like my coming out. That's like my realization that I am enough. And this is me and accepting. And so the twin flame journey is just about realizing your perfection.
Yeah, I liked what you said to me last time when we had a brief call. You said that when I read other people's story, that it becomes alive and it's all of a sudden the truth. And this is something I agree as well with, even with my podcast in that terms and everything. I had to come out of the comfort, which I thought I knew who I was. I had everything planned, and all of a sudden the plan was not there no longer. And I still tried to pretend I have this plan, but universe was like, I remove this, I remove this, I remove this, until you please do what I'm asking you to do. Because I didn't send you here pretending to do something that it maybe serves 30% of what I need from you, but I need this 100% of your soul. I need this 100% of your soul energy. And also owning your truth that you are a twin flame. I mean, it's difficult because nowadays I know most of the people I speak to, and that's why I say every time, we are very logical, most of them. We are like, we want proof, we want to see, and we don't have any science to back it up. Like, there's simply nothing. Like, you just kind of, you can say whatever and you think like, oh, maybe that's the truth, like we can't do the math over here. But also just, I'm here to try to say that even though this twin flame journey sounds absolutely beyond something. Today I listened to another podcast about parallel universes, and then I was like, if somebody would have spoken, like I had this discussion 5 years ago, we would have said, yeah, most likely not. Today it becomes more and more reality. And I believe, and I think you, I mean, I kind of know that we are the ones who are right now planting the seeds for the future twin flames to have an information, to have the guidance, to have an understanding that no, you're not going crazy in this, you don't need to go to mental hospital.
Well, I think part of the biggest thing, and I hear it often, people don't want to stand from the rooftop and shout out, "I'm a twin flame." Well, I'm here to tell you exactly the opposite. Having been where I am, having shed everything through my ego death, through my husband's realization that I was having an affair, through releasing all of that was holding me back, I am proud to be a twin flame, and being able to speak his name to people that I talk to in the inner circle. It's real. And you don't have to believe or not, but something happened to me. And whether you believe it was spiritual or ego based, it doesn't really matter. If you think I'm a little, delusional or whatever, that's fine. That's fine. I know what it is in my heart, and I know the purpose of this, and I know what it's done for my life. And anybody that could look at me and say that it hasn't made all of these incredible changes is not telling the truth. Because all you can see, if you look past the beliefs, here we go with the beliefs again, right? If you look past all of that and understand that it is a higher connection, a twin flame connection is not about the ego. It is about that higher self and allowing that higher self to lead you in what your purpose is and your connection is. And so it's really as simple as that. When you can openly say, or you read people's stories, and all of a sudden I'm hearing my story back to me, and wow, that's similar to what I did, you're validating that it really happened and that it's okay. And I think when we all start to take those steps and say, I'm proud to be a twin flame, and I know as a twin flame that I am a light worker and I have very important purpose on this planet, not just about me, but I am willing to own that. When we all unite in that power, that powerful sovereignty, right? That we are raising the vibrations of the planet, and we are doing what we came here to do. And whether it's writing a book or doing a podcast or being a healer, whatever your purpose is, it's embracing that fully and understanding that we are all coming together in this time, this great time. We have this huge responsibility, but we are literally changing the world. And so embrace it. Don't allow those beliefs to hold you back. Embrace who you are and embrace your purpose.
Love that. So let's now talk about, because I think we have I have a couple of things to say at the end, but let's say where we're gonna find your book, when, how, and your social media details and so on, so that people can get in touch. I will put everything in the description as well, but just to have it as a voiceover as well.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll release this to your community. We'll talk a little bit more about the book when it comes closer, hopefully. You will be able to get it on Amazon, so no matter what country you're in, you'll be able to get that. I am encouraging people, though, to order that as soon as we start those pre-sales. It'll be on sale at magicalbreadcrumbs.com. It's not up yet, but it will be. That way I can write you a personal message. And inside that book, one of the things that I included was ways to contact me. My email address is in the book. Like, it's about us coming together and about doing these projects together and helping each other to rise and support each other, so that we can do that. So it'll be everywhere. My twin flame told me that when he was like, well, what are we going to do with the book? And I said, I don't really care. If 10 people read the book, if it changes 10 lives, I'm good with that. And he was like, no. And I was like, what do you mean no? And he was like, no. There's millions of people in the United States, which is where I'm located, right? And I was like, wait a minute, though. There's over 8 billion people on the planet. And he was like, yeah. He was like, and at least 1 million of those are going to read this book. And I said, you know what? You're right. We're going to change 1 million lives. So that's my mission. that a million people are going to read this book and a million people are going to have their lives changed. So I want all of those people, a million of them, to contact me and tell me how that's made them change their lives, how they've started to see themselves differently. So that is my mission. And that doesn't mean I'll sell a million books. It means that I will get a million books into the hands of the people that need it to be there. So it'll come out just before Christmas. I'm really hoping that those of us that have people surrounding us that we love, but they're not quite there on the whole spiritual fence, I'm hoping that we'll buy extra copies of this for them for Christmas gifts. Maybe somebody for, I don't know, the office exchange when you don't know what to buy, that kind of thing. Will kind of start to ignite that, because magical breadcrumbs are not just signs and synchronicities. Magical breadcrumbs are a way of life. And I want everybody to embrace that. And I want everybody to know about magical breadcrumbs and how it can change their lives for the better.
That's wonderful. I definitely put it up on my website as well, so that it will be direct link to the Amazons once it's out there. So
Perfect.
if anybody gets confused, it will be up there as well. As long as we need
Awesome.
to change the world, we need to bring more love, light, and turn away a little bit from the heavy masculine energy our world is suffering, because the Mother Earth is asking for a divine feminine, and that's why we're here. That's why we had to suffer a little bit in prior. But that's definitely something we can dive into one day when we are ready for it, because I know that many of us who are listening, you're missing from the heart of this love, but you need to know that you're on this Mother Earth for a bigger purpose. What I want to say also, that we'll definitely going to have another broadcast together for about talking about the sexual energy in a way of how it ignites you, what will happen to you, why is it so important. And so we're definitely going to have this, and we will do together also another workshop. So that's why for
Great.
those to subscribe, like, do whatever to stay in touch in order to get that information and change your life, because that's what we're giving to you. We're pretty much trying to help you to another level, this where the voice in your head constantly speaks that if 20 years ago we would have this conversation, we would have ended up in a crazy hospital of madness or something like this. But today it's becoming more and more real that our soul is very powerful, that needs to awaken into this 3D world, I would say. Then do you
Absolutely.
have we actually did speak about, I'm just going to put this in because it's about, because I know many of my listeners, each time they're going through my podcast and they're like, I can't find your name. I can't find your name. It's very sad for me to contact you because I don't know your name. And then I'm every time like, yeah, I never say that because it doesn't no longer resonate. But you had the same story. So do you want to a little bit give an overview why it's difficult to understand, like we were talking about before, that you cannot recognize yourself on the pictures, but I think the name has the same value, or you can tell me.
It all has to do with our previous existence. Like there is a clear line. If you think back into your life before you met your twin flame and after you met your twin flame, pretty much everything has changed. Probably where you live, your friends, your job, your everything has changed. And so releasing our name is just part of that cycle. Now, my father named me. My name is Deanne. That is my name that he gave me. I would never in my wildest dreams think about giving that up. But by incorporating my full name, Deanne Marie, I am embracing who I am. And so that's really given me almost a rebirth. Like I feel like it definitely sounds more feminine. I mean, let's just face it there. But it also is that clear delineation for me about the before and the after. And so it's not about who you were and who you're becoming. It's who you are right now. And so if you feel it in your heart to go by your name from before and identify with all that, then by all means go for it. But if you're in your situation or my situation, like we truly don't feel as if we are that individual anymore, then it's about becoming that new. And again, release the beliefs. If you want to be, I don't know, Frederica, then change your name to Frederica. You can be anybody you want to be. Don't let those beliefs hold you back.
Totally agree. So I think we ended up with a beautiful message. So the Anne-Marie book, Magical Breadcrumbs, is coming out. Please subscribe in order for you to get the information and stay up to date. Those who would like to see this podcast on a video version, it's again up on the Patreon. You can watch the whole episode over there where we're smiling and where we're happy. I know you don't want to see this, but you'll get there. I promise you'll get there at one point, especially that we now have an information out there. We will have more episodes with Anne-Marie. And what I want to say is that if you have any questions for her, because I had many questions actually during the time we were talking, but then we jumped here and there, typical me. But write them for me and we'll make a next episode together where we can answer your questions, your specific, I don't know, desires, methods you need to know. Just put them down for us. And like I said, we'll definitely have a next episode together about the sexual energy, because I focus on this a lot. I'm even actually learning now another, like you said before, that you start getting these weird messages into your head. You say you have to go this, you have to learn this, you have to elevate yourself over there because world needs that. And that's what I'm doing right now as well. So make sure to subscribe. And I would like to say thank you for our guest today. And I hope to see you soon here.
Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you soon.
And yeah, so I hope to see you, everybody. Thank you so much, and lots of love and light.